everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you into our community town hall number 5. As you know, in every week's community town hall, we speak about updates from Mark Paul, our founder. Well, I am Anita Tejwani. I am the marketing lead at Itheum, and I must say there are interesting things going on at Itheum. And to throw some light on that, we have Mark Paul over here. Mark, hi.
Hi, Anita. Good to be back again.
Yeah. So, Mark, would you like to start with something?
Yep, sure. Thank you. Let me just. So, hi, everybody. Thank you for having us once again. We come to you every week with our community town hall. And this is our forum to share updates from the last week and keep you updated in all the things that are happening with Itheum. So a few updates today. As you guys know, we keep the town halls quite short and to the point. So the first updates are just general updates that are happening with our community and our plans. And then if we got any product or tech updates, then we cover that. And then we do a Q&A at the end with any community-based questions that we receive. So the first update coming to you guys is in relation to our ambassador program. So we are in the final stages of recruiting the first batch of ambassadors, and the final phase of that, which is an interview with our core team, that has been scheduled. So if you were successful, you would have got this invite. So please accept that and join and meet our core team. This is when we meet you one-on-one and then bring you on board. So just keep an eye out for that. You would have received that. And if you've got any questions, reach out to us on Telegram about this as well. The second piece of news we want to share with you is in relation to our ongoing community education campaign called the Learning Quest. Now, most of you would have seen this happening over the last week, where we have been actively promoting this on our social media. And the main reason of this is to educate our community on concepts relating to Itheum, product and technology concepts. And it requires you to read our white paper, requires you to have a look at a few of our demos, and just get your head around how our entire data protocol works. So we have our final phase of this going, or final round of this going, I think today or tomorrow. And please note that this is just the first phase of our community campaigns. We're going to have many more of this as we lead into our token generation event, IDO, which we still plan for sometime in February or March. So as we lead into this, we want to bring the community on board, educate you guys on our token utility. So we will be running more of these community campaigns. So stay tuned on that as well. The next update is something that I'm going to actually share my screen and walk you through a change that we made to our tokenomics and our white paper. And this is basically in the form of what we're introducing called the marketplace fee. So let me just share my screen first. And awesome, I think you guys see this. So if you head to our white paper, we update this very regularly. And one of the sections that we recently posted was in this here, market data trading fees. Okay, now Itheum is a community project, and for it to be a community project, we need to ensure that there is long-term sustainable growth. So growth in the form of supporting the roadmap in the long term, not just 1 year, 2 years, but 10, 50 years, right? We always talk about we are a 50-year project. So we need funds to support the community development or the roadmap development. Secondly, as we are a data platform, we need to incentivize data trade to happen. Think of this as market making, but in data. We need to incentivize partners to come into our data decks and our platform and incentivize people to trade their data. So we need to always ensure we have funds to continually recruit key partners that almost form this, what we call the data market makers, for lack of a better term. So they increase the requirement of data and create this environment where there's always people willing to buy data, and therefore there's always people willing to trade data as well. And finally, we want to incentivize the community, so through staking. And why this is important? Well, if you read our white paper, we talk about we want the community members, especially people who believe in Itheum from a long-term perspective, people who hold our utility token, we want them to come and stake it and earn some incentives by doing so. Because if you stake our utility token, then what you're doing is you are helping us stabilize the price, which is great, because that as a data platform, we need to ensure that we have a stable price of our utility token. But it also secures our network, right? So if we don't have high fluctuations of new users coming in and going out, the security of our network is going to be also guaranteed. So with that in mind, we are proposing that we are going to roll out a 4% marketplace trade fee per trade. What this means is whether if you're trading data NFTs, data packs, which is via peer-to-peer trade, or via data coalitions, a 4% marketplace fee is taken per trade. How is that split? Well, 2% of that goes to the person who's putting the data for sale in the trade, and 2% is paid by the person procuring the data. So 2% on either way. And we'll explain why we did this. So the other note here is the 2% on either side could be absorbed by the other person. So a strategic buyer of data, maybe an enterprise who's very interested in the data, they can absorb your 2% and then incentivize you to trade your data. And likewise, if a data coalition is very strategic and very powerful, it can absorb the buyer's 2%, and then that would facilitate more buyers. So it's a very strategic way for us to grow data trade, because we create this environment where the person putting data for trade and the person interested in procuring this data, they are constantly trying to incentivize each other. And what we are putting in place is the core incentivization model for more and more trade to happen. Now, the next question, very importantly, is what is this 4% used for? Well, it's used in the following way. So 2% of that, and I'm just going to jump to the specific part of white paper that talks about this, so I can explain this more clearly. So the distribution of trading fees and community fee sharing. 2% of that, of the collected for, goes to our foundation treasury. And this is what I was talking about, the long-term roadmap growth of Itheum. So eventually Itheum is going to be run by a foundation DAO, and we need to ensure that we have enough treasury tokens within there to be able to support initiatives to keep growing Itheum, to keep evolving Itheum to be the latest cutting edge tech. Again, this aligns with our long-term vision. 1% goes to our partners program. And like as I was saying, we need to improve, create the ecosystem where there's always data trade happening. So we need partners who are very strategic, who are going to be very interested in setting up data coalitions or building apps on Itheum's data collection and analytics toolkit, and incentivizing people to come and align their data. So this is 1% that goes to that fund. And finally, 1% goes directly into the community treasury. So if you are a long-term believer in the Itheum protocol, you hold our utility token, and you could then stake into a community staking pool. And 1% of all data trade is then distributed to the staking pool. This again, like I said, is to ensure that we can maintain price stability, network security, and general less movement of people within Itheum, if that makes sense. What we want is a community that understands what we're doing and believes in us and stays with us, and then we want to incentivize them. So this is a big change that we announced, and we updated our white paper 2 days ago. The reason I'm introducing you to this today is because we want feedback from you, our community. So hopefully I was able to explain this clearly. If not, I really encourage you to jump on our white paper, read the new sections that we put up around the trading fees and the community fee sharing, as well as how the distribution works. And then please put your questions on Telegram, and our community leaders in Telegram will directly funnel that feedback to us, and then we can address that as well. So this was the main topic we wanted to cover today. And finally, before we go into a Q&A, I'd like to reiterate that, let me just stop sharing my screen, that Itheum is a community project, and we're still on plan to do our token generation event in February and March. So please stay tuned for that news. And as soon as we find out, as soon as we lock down the specifics, so we're in active discussion with launch pads and chains, as soon as we learn the specifics, we will inform the community. So thank you for that, and I'll hand it back to Anita now, who I believe is probably curating some questions for us.
Thank you so much, Mark. This was a very informative, very crisp session. I believe people do get a lot out of it just by investing a few minutes into understanding what Itheum is doing and the updates we are giving out. I would like to also point out that it is an every week process that we are bringing to you so that we can be closer to our community and we can see us grow. We have reached 2 milestones, which are on Twitter, we have 10,000 followers, and we have Telegram with 5,000 plus members in our Telegram group, which is a great thing from the marketing end, I suppose. So just wanted to share that before we just jump into the Q&A from our community. So Mark, these are the questions that we have gotten from our community members in the Telegram group. And I would encourage other people as well, other community members as well, to drop us your questions in case you want them to be answered by Mark in the next community town hall. Okay, so let's dive deep. The first question goes like, does the green room protocol mean that our data can be integrated to other metaverse platforms?
Yes, absolutely. So the green room protocol is part of our data metaverse tier of consumer products. So within that tier, we have NFMe, which is non-fungible me, the green room protocol, data NFTs, and data coalition DAOs. So I think this question relates specifically to what the green room protocol is. And to understand that, we have to understand what NFMe is. I think I covered that in the last town hall, but I'll just very quickly touch on that. NFMe stands for non-fungible me. And it's effectively everyone in the world has an NFMe that's assigned to them, which they can claim. And it is a digital avatar that's backed by real personal data. The first of its kind, no one else is doing this. And we have already built the core tech for this. Now, you were probably asking yourself, okay, fine, I join Itheum, I claim my NFMe, I have my avatar, but what can I do with it now? Well, the more data that you connect to your NFMe, you actually grow your NFMe's accessories. It's a dynamic NFT, and it's very similar to a gaming NFT where you start with the base, and then you can accessorize it, and each accessory is linked to a specific type of your personal data. And also, you can take subsets of your data within the NFMe and mint data NFTs. So what we're having now is an NFMe, which is your digital avatar backed by personal data, accessories that are complementing it that are backed by other personal data, and subsets of that which are data NFTs. All of this you can trade. So now that we have created this, all these assets that are tied to you that you could trade, well, we need to then take it into the metaverse, and that's where the green room protocol comes in place. So the green room protocol is, imagine it as a room where you can actually go in there, look at your NFMe, look at your accessories, look at your data NFTs, and you can organize them. You can. It's effectively a green room. So a green room in real world in show business is where an actor kind of relaxes and chills out before they go and perform. So in this instance, that's how we named it green room. So here your NFMe and all your data assets are sorted out, organized, until we take it to the next phase. The next phase is metaverse interoperability. So now that we have your data, we are, as part of the green room protocol, we are working on what does it mean to to make that data interoperable from a metadata perspective in other metaverse platforms. So that's two parts, right? How do I take the NFTs metadata and it's interoperable multi-chain as well as in other metaverse platforms? But also, how do I take the character and make it interoperable in other games? So this is your appearance of your NFMe. How could that render in another metaverse platform? So the Green Room protocol is it's effectively two things. One is our own sort of metaverse world where you can organize your data assets, your NFMes, your data NFTs. But also it is the protocol that's going to allow you to teleport into other metaverse platforms. When combined, it is your gateway to take your data from the real world into the metaverse ecosystem, and not just one game, but it is all metaverse platforms that we would eventually integrate with. So imagine it, you come in there and you can then teleport into these platforms and your data follows you. And then you can trade your data within data coalitions that might live in the metaverse, or you can interact with other NFTs within the metaverse.
Great, Mark. I believe that gives a lot of clarity as to what a green room protocol is. Moving on to the second question, there are some concerns around something happening in the space. Of course, people have been reading about it, people have been hearing about it, and here comes the question, which is on the concern of that, as to how can one be sure that every data's accuracy is untampered before the trade happens.
Okay, so in Itheum, you can trade data packs, which are just regular data sets. Data integrity checking is built into the trade process. So you can actually test this right now in our testnet. A person can put data for trade, and then the counterparty procures the data. One of the steps that it goes through is it verifies integrity of the blockchain. So data packs has this built in. Peer-to-peer data trade has this built in. NFTs are quite complicated, and there's a lot of fraud going on in NFTs, right? So couple of points here to clarify. So the NFT itself, Itheum's data NFTs, which is a product that we have already built, by the way, so it's not a theory, you can test this on our testnet, it's taking your data, it's generating a signature, and it's minting a visual character, a visual graphic around it. So when this graphic is around, and it's a very visual, right? So you can look at it. Now, if you put this on an NFT platform, and for whatever reason the underlying data is tampered with, as part of the trade, we could very quickly rebuild that graphic and compare graphics and say, okay, data has been tampered with because the graphics don't, from a data perspective, don't align. That's one way that we could deal with it. But we are actually taking it a step further, and we'll announce these partnerships where we are partnered with a specific company that does verified NFTs, and we are working with them to work out how we can do the blue tick mark on NFTs. So if you are looking at the Itheum data NFT, the Itheum marketplace, you're going to see verification checks, which are handled by this third party who's going to be using AI to actually verify that the underlying integrity, the metadata, the data that it's wrapped has not been tampered with. And it even does things like verify that this is not wash traded and stuff like that. So this is a partnership we will announce. So to summarize, we are building tech that can detect fraud in data NFTs through the visual component and data hashing, but we're also partnering with a third party who's going to provide a third party tool that's using AI to verify, and we'll have the check mark that says that this is untampered data NFT.
Got it. Thank you, Mark. This was really good. Just moving on to the last question before we wrap it up. What are the advantages Itheum has over its competitors?
Yeah, great question. So, we've got many competitors in the blockchain data space. I mean, we don't like to call them competitors because we feel like we're all on the same mission. But I would say what we have is we started with a clean slate. And we really thought about what it is to make a data protocol that's privacy preserving, that is even regulation compliant, right? We think a lot about where we store this data, what kind of data we store, how do we enforce this, from the ground up? How do we collect data? Because we have our own toolkit that collects data, and how do we protect that? So we're really thinking about all of these things. But one of the other advantages we have is we moved really quick, right? So we are the only ones, as far as we know, that's actually built data NFTs. So this data NFT concept is becoming quite popular now, with a lot of our competitors or counterparts, talking about releasing a data NFT at some point in the future. But we've already built it. We have first mover advantage on this. So when we launch, our goal now is to get this into the mainnet as quick as possible, get as many users testing it as quick as possible, and really just mature these products. And a lot of our products in that way, NFMe, our data metaverse products, all of that are, it's all first mover, right? We designed this from scratch, and we really accelerated the build, and we have actually built a lot of this in our testnet. So what's only left now is we do a token generation event and very quickly get this into mainnet. So to summarize, we had a clean slate, but we thought very well about what are the different layers that are needed, and build products that appeal to everyone. Our data NFTs, our NFMEs, our green room, it appeals to everyone, not just those few people who want to worry about data.
Great, Mark. Thank you so much for those insights. I think this is it about the Q&A. If there is any closing thought, any closing thing that you would like to share?
Just thank you once more, community, for being with us on this journey. We as Anita was mentioning, and as our core team, we really care about community feedback, and that's why we do this every week. So if you have any questions, any concerns, put it on Telegram. It comes straight to the core team, and then we will address it as need be. So thank you for being with us on this journey, and we'll see you on Telegram and Discord.
Yeah, thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.